Hello, everyone. And today I have Joseph Gonzales, and I want to thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, sure. Now, Joseph, tell our viewers, where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from Austin, Texas. Well, originally from Gonzales, Texas, a small town a little further from Austin, but decided to move from Austin, Texas, abroad.
And when you say you decided to move, where did you go?
We are currently in Singapore and have been here coming up on 2 years now.
And how did you choose Singapore?
Well, I would like to say that we chose Singapore, but I think more so Singapore chose us because my wife's company gave us the opportunity to either stay in Austin or move to Singapore. And I run a digital company, so I said, "Hey, let's do it if you're down." So that's how we that's how we decided to make the move.
So was it just you and your wife? Or do you have a family?
We actually our son. We've had a son since we've been here, a baby.
Oh,
He
wow.
turns one tomorrow. So
Wow. Happy
some people would
birthday.
say, yeah, it's exciting stuff. Some people would say, hey, you moved pretty fast in having a baby overseas, but but it was time. We're a little older now, so
So tell me more about your digital company. How do you feel like that's helped prepared you to live abroad?
yeah. So I think whenever you start thinking about just general jobs, right? Like whenever I was younger, I worked for a recruiting company, and that recruiting company had their own office, right, brick and mortar. And I always thought, we're on the phone all day. There's no reason to be here except to go through training, right? So as I continue to think about that and think about my dad's business, he's an insurance agent and he's on the phone all day. He rarely meets clients in person. And I just kept thinking about that process. And I used to be a school teacher, and I had met other teachers that were making six figures teaching abroad. And some of them were teaching online and not even being abroad, right? So I was going, man, there's all these opportunities, but we're so tied into um, being stuck at a desk in a particular place. So then I got into my business doing digital marketing for real estate professionals, and I've been doing that for going on, I guess, 4 years now. And that all stemmed from watching my dad do what he does. And I said, and paying lots of money to these marketing companies to generate leads, if you will, clients for him. I said, I could do that. So whenever Facebook came along with their ad platform, things just kind of took off for us.
Yeah. And I want to touch upon that a little bit because I do digital marketing as well. And we get a lot of questions on kind of how to start. And then in my personal opinions, digital marketing is so large, but I
Yes.
always tell people that if they want to start, they should start with lead generation from a particular audience. And what do
Yes.
you think about that?
Yeah, I would agree 100%. As I've gone through my business, I started off doing insurance because that's what I knew, right? You start off doing things that you know. From there, I transitioned. I met a gentleman who was in insurance and then run a 30-person team of insurance agents. So he was like a director. And I came in and did some presentations for him because he was impressed by the stuff that we're doing. And he told me about this thing called the Golden Home Team, which was a real estate agent, a mortgage professional, insurance agent. And for a lack of better terms, I always say that because he said, well, after I learned about that, I started thinking, well, technically, nobody wants to talk to an insurance agent or a loan officer. They all want to talk to the real estate agent because they have what everybody wants, which is a house. So
Mhm.
then I started niching myself, quote unquote, niching myself down and making that my target audience clients. And then from there, started growing it from there. So like, yeah, I agree with you 100%. You have to really, uh,
Mhm.
you find out what you like, and then from there you start niching down, right?
Yeah. So, one of the things I want people to understand, particularly, and I'm getting a little off topic, but I know I've gotten a lot of the questions on kind of where do people start. And what I want people to understand is even in a good or a bad economy, every business wants more customers.
Yes,
So if you
facts.
make your value helping a business get more customers, you are then valuable and you will always have a job regardless of what country you're in. And I love
Hmm.
that you're in digital marketing too, because I keep telling people that, like, if you learn whether it's email marketing or whatever form of digital marketing you're going to get good at, just make sure that you know how to use that tool to help any company, not any company, you want to niche down, but to help a company get more leads.
Well, I think you make a great point there that a lot of people miss. And a lot of people get in it because the money can be great, right? It can be scarce sometimes too, right? Depending on who you're working for. But
Mm-hmm.
the money can be great, and a lot of people see that and the freedom that comes with that. But the key words that you kept using were help, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you get
Mm-hmm.
into it and you start helping people, and even if you start off by not charging a lot of money for your services because you don't deserve the money yet until you get really good at what you're doing, um,
Mm-hmm.
the more you start helping people, the more money comes in. So I think as
Mm-hmm.
long as people can keep that in mind, have that helping, serving mindset at heart, they can be successful as long as they're working, of
Yeah.
course, right?
So how do you prepare when like all hell is about to break loose with this real estate and with the economy in general?
This last 2 months was kind of scary. I employ 10 virtual assistants, and so
Mm-hmm.
um, as I looked at you obviously when you're running your own business, you look at margins to make sure that you're hitting
Of
numbers that you
course.
want to hit, right? So
Of
we weren't
course.
hitting my margins, the numbers I needed. So I had to sit back and take a realistic um, uh, look at um, the approach and what to do next, right? Am I going to let people
Mm-hmm.
go, or am I just going to tough it out and take the hit on my income so I can keep everybody employed, right? Because they're all
Mm-hmm.
fantastic employees. And so I just
Mm-hmm.
decided to take the hit. And as long as I wasn't in the red, I mean, we've had a good year up until COVID. And so I said,
Mm-hmm.
let's keep pushing through. I'll create a couple new products, and we'll deploy those new products as soon as we start seeing the light of day. As far as like, I don't want to call it normalcy, but as normal
Right.
as it could be. Anyway, with that
Mm-hmm.
happening, we created a couple new products, and that brought us back to closer to where we were before. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've been able to keep everybody employed, and actually hiring two more VAs. One hired yesterday, and interviewing another one on Monday. So we're getting back to where we need to be. But as far as preparation, I don't think there was anything to prepare me for what was going to happen. It scared the crap out of me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
as a business owner.
I think, and a lot of people are talking about, oh, I want to do digital marketing. And what I will be perfectly transparent, because I feel like globally the world is going to go through a massive recession.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not trying to
Oh, it's
be
coming.
doom and gloom. Yeah, I'm not trying to be
Yeah.
doom and gloom. I just want people to be prepared. And I'm being, this is just, just full transparency. So typically when businesses are losing money, the last thing they want to pay for is marketing. So if you're in this space, if anyone's listening to it or they're considering it, you really have to figure out how to either offer more services, or if you just focus on how can you be a help. So the reason why it's so important to niche down, that if you try to solve the problems of everyone, it's impossible. But if
Mm-hmm.
you have a niche, the problems that people are having in that specific niche are kind of the same. So if you find out how to provide value, it may not be in digital marketing, it may be something else, I'm not sure, but just being, I guess, quick enough to kind of alter and do what you have to do so you can still make income is really important. You have to learn how to be that versatile. That was the word I was looking
Yeah.
for. You have to learn how to be versatile when the market is changed. And this is not just for digital marketing. This is for whatever you're doing. You have to learn to be versatile and figure out where you can lend your expertise as things are getting ready to change.
Yeah, and to talk to that, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, you've got to be able to adapt, one, right, like you've said, and be versatile. But you also need to not be afraid to call your clients before, for lack of better terms, before
Mm-hmm.
crap hits the fan, and say, hey, look, this is coming. We're in the
Right.
middle of this right now. There are a couple options I can give you. We can pause your services until this passes.
Mm-hmm.
We can cut back on your marketing budget for a bit, and so that way we keep clients coming in. Or if you want
Mm-hmm.
to go full speed, everybody else, well, at least what we do, digital marketing, lead generation, everybody else is going to stop spending money, which means that
Mm-hmm.
leaves open a window for us to take advantage of the market, which we had
Mm-hmm.
some clients
Mm-hmm.
do, right? So you just got to
Mm-hmm.
you really have to know your business, and
Mm-hmm.
like you said, kind of be a Swiss Army knife to be able to
Yeah.
approach your clients and make sure it's better for them.
Right. And that's a really good point that you make, because I feel like when people, especially if you're new to entrepreneurship, when things are getting kind of shaky, you kind of go into this bubble when you don't want to
Hmm.
communicate. So reaching out to your customers and figuring out what they need and what problems they are having is going to help you in the long run. It's going to help you develop the relationship, but also learn more. And that is what you need. You have to figure out, you know, you have to do some intel when things are guaranteed. You got to do some intel with your clients and figure out, you know, how you can adjust. So that's a really good point. Thanks for sharing that.
And they'll appreciate it so much more than you never calling them or sending them an email or anything. I promise you, they'll be like, all right, you're very proactive. And because of that, and you helped me through the situation, we're going to be with you for a much longer time, right? Longer
Absolutely.
period of time.
I agree totally. So your wife's job relocated you all to Singapore. So how did you kind of adjust personally? Did you start looking for real estate agents in Singapore, or did you strictly focus on the US market, or how did you do that?
Yeah, so once we heard that we had the opportunity to do it and we committed to it, by the way, we had just bought our second house and we were only a few months into our second house. When that happened, obviously it was a big shocker and we're going, okay, this has got to work. And I had actually started a digital real estate marketing course to teach real estate agents how to find clients. And that took off. So whenever that took off and we got ready to come to Singapore, to be honest with you, because it was doing so well and I was very happy with where we were in regard to finances and business, I didn't have to do a lot once I got here. All right. I still held weekly calls with all of my clients. Like we did a group call, and I'd have, you know, between 20 and 50 people every week on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. CST, which would be 7 a.m. here, right? So I would get up at 7 a.m. I'd hold the weekly call. And then from there, to be honest with you, you know, I think like most people, you get comfortable and then you start seeing clients go away and you're like, okay, I got to get back on it. And so to be honest with you, I already had established clientele in the US, and that kind of rode me for an entire year, which is very, I guess, random compared to a lot of other people. So to be honest with you, as far as looking for stuff, I started looking for things after year one and figuring out how to improve my processes and systems to better serve the clients we currently have and then onboard new clients.
Okay. And so when you talk about onboarding new clients, what did you have to do as a business owner to kind of readjust?
Yeah, so I think, you know, in the digital space, and you may be able to attest to this, things change very quickly, right? And so you've got to adapt. And so for us, the things that we were doing before lead generation, that became everybody could start doing it type of deal. So then you start saying, okay, what can I improve in my own business? And what can I start doing for myself that then I can teach other people how to do? And that thing that we did was we started doing, instead of just done for you services, we moved into adding virtual assistants. While I'm here in Asia, well, Philippines is not very far, and it's a huge market for having virtual assistants. So then we started doing virtual assistants, working specifically with a group of like 5 agents at a time. And then instead of doing just a course, this new done for you system allowed our team to start doing things that most companies won't do, which is follow up. We'll do lead generation and then follow up with the lead, right? So that was the added step that we added this year, and it's been fruitful so far.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So prior to you moving to a whole nother country, have you traveled out of the country before?
Yeah, so I got the travel bug in, well, first high school. My family, all my cousins and aunts and uncles, everybody, you know, they did like the senior trip for us, because we didn't really have like a senior trip that we did for our school, because I went to a small town, and we went to Playa del Carmen. I actually ended up going there twice. And then from there, I was in college. I played college football at the University of Houston. Went Naval Academy first, and then University of Houston. And I was the first college athlete, at least from the University of Houston, who was on scholarship, to use the scholarship, because I got hurt my last season, and said, okay, well, I need to do something else. I'm not going to be playing sports. And so I went and talked to admissions office. I talked to all the resources that I needed to speak to, and said, hey, can I use this to go to travel abroad? And they said, we'll start doing research for you. You're a great, you know, student. It'd be great for us to have this. And anyway, so I became the first University of Houston student athlete to go to Mexico and study Spanish. And once I did that, I was hooked. From there, I went and visited my brother, who played basketball overseas for several years. And then I lived in, I traveled through the southern part of Europe for about 6 months, and then lived in Spain for about 4 months, Sevilla, Spain. And that was, I mean, as a young person, that was like the highlights of my life to be able to do that. Because the U.S., they don't have what a lot of countries have, which is called the gap year, where you can go and, between high school and college and live out your crazy life and all that fun stuff. So anyway, that's where I got the bug, and I lived, I guess, overseas, if you will, 2 different times before moving here.
And so how has living abroad changed your perspective on life?
I think it just broadens your ideas of what you get in a box, right? We all live in a box in our minds of what the nearest people to us tell us what life is about. And you start thinking like the people that are around you. But once you start having the experiences of living people that are far beyond those people or far away from those people, not that they think any better or anything like that, but it's just a different perspective. It's a worldly perspective at that point, right? You go from, saying, I lived in a small town where, you drive to Sonic and you have a strip and that's all you do, to getting on a train and traveling from Ireland through Nice to, through the Moffley Coast on a train, and seeing all these things and meeting all these people and staying at hostels and meeting like-minded people that just want to travel and meet new people. And you just start seeing the world through their eyes versus the eyes that you had before. Right. And it's a lot friendlier, it seems like, than the books portray it to be.
Right.
In most cases.
That's a really good point.
Paris can be tough, but it's still nice.
So what advice would you have for those individuals who are considering moving out the country, or also like raising a family out of the country? Like, what are your advice there?
Yeah, I think my biggest thing is I'll give a couple pieces, I guess. One, don't be afraid to think differently than your peers may be thinking. Like, I think a lot of people are scared to even consider, like, they'll watch the videos they're like, man, Paris looks great, man, Philippines looks awesome, Bali looks fantastic, but I'll never go there, right? So anybody who's considering doing it and that has never traveled before, I implore you to travel first, to see if you even like doing it. And when I say travel, I don't mean for 2 days on a weekend, right? I mean, go for 5-7 days if your job allows it. Find where the long weekends are in a year and take those. If there's a bookend long weekend, take those long weekends and go travel and see what it's like to be in a place. And don't stay in a hotel, right? Stay at an Airbnb or somewhere that you can stay in that lets you be around the people and the culture. Beyond that, as you think about moving, you start saving money, right? And figuring out, because, it's nice to see those videos on YouTube that say you can retire here and it's going to cost this much money per month. There's a lot of things they don't take into account.
So true. Right? That's how I got caught
up. So, it sounds nice, but you really got to start budgeting your life and what you spend currently and what it costs. And then take that and then multiply that by 12 months, 6 months. Give yourself 6 months if you're going to go to another country, right? And see if it's worth it. And then as far as raising a family is concerned, pick a safe place if you have kids, right? There's lots of resources out there and information to tell you the safety index of different places, so you can decide, where you want to be and where you want your kids to be. And also you have to look into schools to see what schools will be like if you have kids, right? So those are a couple things that I would consider. Travel first. Make sure if you're going to make a move, make sure you do the research on it, and then make sure you have the money to do it. But don't be so scared to not take a chance, right? Especially if you're single and you don't have any attachments. That's the best time to do it.
Now, just a quick question on having a baby in a whole nother country where you may not speak the language. How frightening was that?
Well, we're lucky. So Singapore is actually now an English-speaking country. When the prime minister
Okay.
took over, coming up on, I don't know, 45 years ago, I guess, 50 years ago, something like that.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit
Mm-hmm.
longer, maybe it's 3 years. Anyway, whenever they took their independence or got their independence from Malaysia, I believe it is, they made it a point to make Singapore an English-speaking country.
Okay.
And so um, at first we were scared because we knew nothing about Singapore, right? Like, okay, it's in Asia, it's got to be like the Philippines or other places where it's like, okay, it's going to be, not first world. You get here, and then you start doing your research before you get here, and you find out it's, you know, top five most expensive places to live in the world,
Mm-hmm.
like top three safest places in the entire world, like all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so once we got here, we kind of learned more about it, and you know, it's I mean, the way people describe it that are expats that we've met, they say the hospitals are essentially the Cadillac of hospitals, right?
Oh,
Like
wow.
you wait for nothing, you don't need anything. They do everything for you, and you
Mm-hmm.
stay longer than you typically do, like in the U.S. at a hospital after you have a baby.
Mm-hmm. And when you
Yeah.
got there, was it easy to make friends because your wife's job moved you there, or how did you go about making friends in a new country?
Yes. So I'm pretty much a hermit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm very outgoing whenever I get out, but at least my wife tells me that. I don't know, but I feel like she's the outgoing one. But I I don't know. If I see somebody, I'm from Texas, right? So naturally in Texas, we're just very friendly people for the most part. I think those of us who live in Austin, Texas, anyway, the rest of the cities, whatever. but being from the California of Texas, we're just friendly people as a whole. And anytime I see anybody make eye contact with me, I'm like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I just start talking. I think it catches a lot of people and not to be uh, you know come off the wrong way, but Asian people are usually very to themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
But once you get to start knowing people, like I play basketball whenever COVID-19 was not happening. I play basketball at least 2 or 3 times a week, so I got to meet people doing that. I joined a couple of Facebook groups, met a couple of different people
Mm-hmm.
through that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I decided to buy some nice cameras, and I started doing photography just for fun because you
Mm-hmm.
know everybody's asleep whenever I'm up during the day, so I needed something to do. Right. So those are the ways. And then my wife's job, we would go to dinner parties and things like that. So that allowed us to meet people, which is, I think that's probably the best way to meet people, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Go on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
meet some people that, seem to be like-minded, join the expat groups, Facebook groups
Mm-hmm.
in whatever country you're going to, and say, anybody having a dinner party? If not, you be the person who hosts the dinner party. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's scary, but as long as it can be if you're a woman, a group of women; if you're a man, a group of men; if you're married, a group of married couples or whatever,
Couples.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think there are ways to do it. You just have to be willing if you want to meet people, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I met my first group of friends in Portugal off of the internet. It came from a Facebook group. So if that's what you're thinking about doing, whether it's researching, whatever, definitely fine. There's probably an expat group for every country, I would assume,
Every
on
country, probably every city in every country. Yeah.
Facebook. Probably. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for interviewing me. I hope I gave some good insight for those of you who are listening. And if you have questions, please do feel free to reach out, specifically about Asia or Sevilla, Spain, which is top five of my places, and probably top two of my places in the world.
Wow,
Um,
top two. I'm gonna have to check it out.
oh yeah, yeah, it's amazing. The people are amazing. That's what makes it so amazing.
Awesome. All right, guys. So until next time, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.